Yo, hey, something came in on the trading room from Scott just asking about trading US. I was going to wrote out a long post, but thought videos are so much better just to communicate. I just wanted to run through it. There's already some good replies here that pretty much might answer most of it. Tom's one's good, everyone. I haven't used Tiger Brokers and stuff, so I can only talk about my experiences, but I've certainly been trading US stocks for a long time. So I'm just going to smack out my view on it. So first of all, it can be daunting, but I just think if you take one trade at a time at the start, it's not really daunting. It's just stocks are stocks, they go up, they go down. Doesn't matter if they're Indian, American, Aussie, who cares? They just go up, down. They're traded. It's the same thing, right? It's daunting, I guess, because you're asleep maybe, or because of the USD, and AUD currency stuff. So let's just quickly talk about the currency stuff first. There's heaps of brokers, and I can't give broken advice, but I've used Interactive Brokers for I don't know, since like 2006 or 5 or something like that, and they just convert for me. So I entered Vert last night, right? So I just put my order in. It was a buy stop order or rising buy, whatever people call it these days, but it's buy stop order in one tick above this resistance line, okay, and then Interactive Brokers just converted Aussie dollar to a US dollar the millisecond it broke out, and did the trade within milliseconds for me. Okay. Now, if I had US dollars sitting in my account, it would have just used those US dollars without doing any conversions. And I think I did have a little bit of US dollars sitting in the account, but then if you don't have enough to settle the trade, it will then sell some Aussie dollars and buy some US dollars on your behalf. All right. And to be honest, Interactive Brokers charge, their spreads are the best in the industry. So they're literally nearly zero. Okay, if you look on their website, their spreads are a quarter of 1 pip. Do you know what I mean? We're talking about nothing. See what the Commonwealth Bank charges you in spreads if you want to try and send money to the US, right? You're getting absolutely ripped off. So Interactive Brokers, interbank spreads are just ridiculous. And all good brokers have ridiculous spreads, really. Otherwise, don't use them. Okay, and then what do I do? So for example, I've been in MU lately. I've talked about a bit, and I'm still in with about a quarter position. But so the stuff I sold. So when I was selling and I had these profits, and then I had my money back from it. What I do is I just convert it straight back to Aussie dollars, because it lands in your account as US dollars, obviously, when you sell. Then you've got this big chunk of US dollars sitting there, and then obviously if that happens, you are then at risk of currency stuff. So I tend to just look at what's happening in the Australian Aussie, the Aussie dollar, the Aussie versus the US dollar, and so we're in a strong uptrend. Look, from these lows at 60, 59 or whatever, on that when Trump was bringing out all his shit back in April, it's just trended straight up. And so, that is such a strong uptrend, anyone can just see it. So I'm okay, I'm not going to keep my money in US dollars once trades end. I'm going to convert it straight back to Aussie dollars. And literally all I do is click a button in my broker. I just click it and say sell and convert back to base currency, and boom, boom, boom. And 2 seconds later, it's done with pretty much zero commission. Okay. So that stuff's super, super easy there, and in terms of hedging during a trade, all right, let me go over that, because I have talked about that on and off on Breakout Wednesday. Now, you can, but my goal, especially these days, I'm been evolving a little bit even in the last year, is I want to be in the fastest names only. I want to be in the names that break out and just can double, okay? Or run up 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80% very, 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 very fast, all right? So when I'm right, whatever the Aussie dollar cross is doing is irrelevant, because it never ever is going to move as quickly as my names that I'm in, because I'm only in the highest, quickest moving stocks. All right. If I'm in slow moving junk, okay, if I'm trading big on I don't know, McDonald's, okay, McDonald's might not move as quick. It can move pretty okay, but then I'm going to be okay, shit, if I'm tied up in McDonald's for years and years and years, then maybe I'd want to hedge. Now, obviously, to hedge, if you're buying, say, Vert okay, and you want to hedge, you just want to hedge your position, then when you enter this trade, you convert in Aussie dollars to US dollars in order to settle it, and so then you just need to buy back that same amount of Aussie dollars, okay, either using the FX function that your broker has, or in CFDs or pure forex, depending on what your broker lets you do, and you just get the exact amount and just buy it, and so then you're hedged, okay. You can do that if you want. I'm not doing that right now just because I'm trying to put myself in the fastest names, even though the fact that the Australian dollar versus US dollar is going straight up. I'm just like, okay, well, I back myself to put myself in the fastest US names, that the little 0.5% fluctuations in the Aussie US dollar is irrelevant compared to the 60 to 70% moves I'm getting in some of these fantastic names, okay? If you want to be in the fastest names in the world, you have to be in the US. As simple as that. Like, these guys are like just leading the world. They always have. I don't know if it's ever going to change, to be honest. I mean, I know everyone. I was reading some stuff from some guy that sells expensive courses about how everything's changing and the US is never going to lead again. I'm like, I don't know. Fuck. I just don't know. I don't bother myself with shit like that. But it's like, I'm dubious, okay? And I just don't think it matters. Follow the money. Follow what's going up. It's the only thing that matters. What is going up? Put yourself in what's going up. And the US has always got stocks going up. And they're not just going up. Like, look at SNDK, right? $281 to $1,616. That's between November last year and now. Like, holy smokes, okay? The sort of stuff happening in US names. Like, there's so many fast moving things. And I want to be in the fastest moving stocks in the world, and so so that's a summary of it. I don't think be daunted. I think just one trade at a time is key, and I still do that now, really. Like, I hardly trade that many names. I will just be focused on the US, and I will be like, okay, what is the best setup, and I'll put myself in one or two names only, really, okay. Except for, like, I don't class MU as a trade anymore because I've only got a quarter left, all right, and I'm running that with a 10 exponential. So I'm allowed to then go and take vert. So I can sleep at night because I know that, like, I'm not loaded. I don't have 90% of my account in US names, okay? And then, of course, you've got to use stop losses, okay? It's easier because I live in Western Australia at the moment. So I'm usually open when the market's opening and I can place my stops. But I don't think you can afford to just have mental stops or no stops in the market. Like, I think for vert, like, I put this in, I had to stop, where this green line is. So, like, if this came out last night and then something bad happened and I woke up and it was down here at $36, which has happened to me, like not just a couple times, it's happened to me, like, many times. Okay, that is life. Okay, I've been knocked around like you couldn't believe in my trading career, and so I don't think you can afford to not have stops. You just got to have stops, and you're going to get whipped out sometimes, or come down, whip you out. I mean, that's trading, right? Any business in the world, nothing is perfect. Just get over it and trade, But I think hopefully that helps. Anything else, let me know. It's really pretty simple in terms of, like, complexity things, complex stuff in life. This is not really one of them. It is daunting, yes, but I promise once you get in it, it's not that hard. The opportunities are insane. But having said that, like, there's still great trades on the ASX, okay? But I think that when people will say, oh, if you haven't made it on the ASX, you shouldn't trade the US. I'm like, oh, fuck, that's like a professional tennis player who's, like, ranked 5th in Australia, but then you say, oh, you're never allowed to go overseas and train, or compete, against the best in the world because you're not the best in Australia. And I'm like, well, that makes zero sense. That person should go overseas and compete against the best in the world and get even better. It's like, why limit yourself? If there's better opportunities and better ways to grow out there, why would you limit yourself? You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm a big fan of it, obviously. Think there's a shitload of money to be made if you get stuck in and work hard, like anything in life, Any other questions with platforms? There's heaps of platforms, and there's going to be people here listing platforms. I use Interactive Brokers. I don't know about any other platforms these days. I've been doing it too long. I don't even look. I don't give a shit about any other ones. So, but listen to some of these guys and what they're using. Just be careful. all right? Because some platforms will go under. Right? Always happens. Right? Every couple of years, you get some financial crisis and the broker goes under and takes all your money. All right? I know that my money is safe, okay? Because these are a publicly listed company, Interactive Brokers, and I can just look at their chart. Look at that. They're not going under, okay? The idea of a private company broker with my money, like my hard-earned money that I've been grinding since I was 18, I'm not going to let those guys near it. No way, okay? I can list off a bunch of examples of private brokers going under and stealing everyone's money. Happens, okay? Especially with CFD stuff. So I would never, ever, ever do it, all right? And I think I think it's a bit naive for anyone to use a broker that they can't monitor, okay? Especially for derivatives and CFDs and stuff without Chess Holdings on the ASX, right? So just be careful with that. If you've got Chess Holdings, it's different. It depends how it's structured. Is it Chess Holdings? Do you actually own those shares or do you not own those shares? Okay, look into it and just know what the hell you're doing with your broker. But I love this because I can see it, okay? It's the same with CBA, same with NAB. I mean, we can all see if CBA gets in trouble, I mean, our country's in trouble, okay? But what my point is that if you've got your money in CommSec, it's pretty safe. Plus their Chess Holdings, all right? So it's you're actually pretty fine. But if you're going to start getting in US names, be careful. Understand what you're doing and what the broker actually does. Because you don't often you don't actually own the shares, which I don't give a shit about as long as I'm using a reputable broker that's not going to go bankrupt. Okay, so that's that. What else are the other questions? Broker list goes on, and insight platforms, USD cross rates. What he talked about. Good, bad, and the ugly. I mean, shit, I don't know what the ugly is. The ugly is that you lose powerfully sometimes. Things go down quickly. You wake up in the night. Sometimes you can't sleep. If you're the sort of guy that can't sleep because you've got risk on, then that's something you have to deal with. But I've had times I couldn't sleep, but it was just because I was going too heavy. But if you manage it, like I've only got 1 to 2 trades on at once in the US, then it's fine. I'll sleep like a baby. Do you know what I mean? As long as my stop losses are in. Yep, I think that's it. Any other questions, hit me back. Post in here and good stuff. Yep, catch you, mate.